Welcome to Everyone Loves Guitar, where we sit down and talk with interesting professional guitar players, uncover their stories, and discover what makes them tick. If you love guitar, music, and the backstory of people's lives, stick around. You're in the right place. If you're a business owner and you want to increase your cash flow, or if you're a label or artist and you want to promote new music, then listen up. For information about advertising on Everyone Loves Guitar, including information on geographically targeted ads, go to everyonelovesguitar.com/advertise. That's everyonelovesguitar.com/advertise. The Be Fulfilled Journal helps you be more honest with yourself and with others and be more open to handling things you've avoided dealing with for years. It's a 12-week online and journal program that helps you identify and eliminate things you do that are causing you stress and live in more gratitude and joy. It was actually developed by a long-term friend of mine who got sober in 2008, and he's put together a great deal just for my listeners. You get the 300-page hardcover journal and access to the 12-week video program online, plus free shipping, plus membership in a private Facebook support group with others going through the program, plus a 5-day mini course showing you how to let go of stuff that's draining your energy, plus a 30-day 100% money-back guarantee. To start your journey and get all the bonuses, go to BeFulfilledJournal.com/ELG. That's BeFulfilledJournal.com/ELG. Hey, this is Craig. Welcome to the 500th episode of Everyone Loves Guitar. As luck would have it, of all the days, we had some bad audio on my side of the signal chain, which almost never happens, but it did for whatever reason today. Just wanted to give you a heads up. Bear with it. It's a great interview with Luke, and thanks for all the patience and time and listening to me and supporting the show. Couldn't have done it without you. Enjoy the show. Hey, everybody, this is Craig Garber. Welcome to Everyone Loves Guitar. I got the one and only, most anticipated guest, the one and only Steve Lukather.
What are you talking about, man? I'm like the shittiest guitar player you've interviewed.
Yeah, I got Steve Lukather.
Am I funnier? Is that how I made the cut? I don't know.
Interestinger.
Interesting. Okay, I'll give you that.
I just want to say a shout out to Joe Satriani. Thanks for hooking us up. So, real quick,
that's just Joe is probably one of the most perfect musicians. I mean, I don't think he's ever made a mistake. If he has, it was just maybe because he did it on purpose. One of the finest musicians I know, and also he's been a big supporter of mine. I just adore Joe. All those, to George and Steve, when they invited me on G3, it was like the scariest, greatest honor I've ever had. I mean, I'm not really a G3 guy. I mean, I can hang, but, I never considered, when they asked me, I was like, I can't do this. Are you kidding? They're going to kill me out there. These are your people.
I feel like I'm getting the audio version of your book.
Yeah, well, there is that, So but I mean, those guys are, what can I say? I adore Joe Satriani, Steve Morse, all the G's. I got to be a G. I mean, everybody's been a G.
OG.
It's pretty good. It's like being in the Super Bowl or something. So I may have been warm in the bench, but I got to be in the show. You know what I mean?
Let me just tell people 2 minutes about your background for the people who've been living under a shell. Founded Toto 40 years ago. Founder of Los Lobotomys and a number of other side projects. Luke has played literally on thousands of sessions in LA and elsewhere. Here's a small example. Boz Scaggs, Alice Cooper. I'm not even going to look at you because I'm going to pee in my pants. Elton John. John Mayall, Lee Ritenour, Bill Champlin, who's coming on this show in a couple of weeks, Peter Frampton, David Crosby, Van Halen, Greg Lake, Joe Cocker, Todd Rundgren, members of KISS. He's currently a member of Ringo Starr's all-star band. He's been with them since 2012. He's a 5-time Grammy Award winner. Best R&B song with Toto 4. He got Producer of the Year, Album of the Year, Record of the Year for Rosanna, Best Pop Instrumental, Larry Carlton and Lukather, No Substitutions. He authored a great book. If you haven't read this book, The Gospel According to Luke, it is fucking amazing. He's from LA, still lives there today, and this is the 500th episode. I couldn't think of a better guy. And before we move forward, I just got to read my favorite line in the book. This is a great book, man.
No.
Here's my favorite line. Byron came out and immediately started to dance about the stage like a fucking idiot, like fire ants were writhing in his anus.
Yeah,
that was
and like, what's weird about that?
That was nothing. It was my favorite line. Not weird.
Well, I mean, that's a descriptive line. I mean,
it's awesome.
Maybe I shouldn't be so rough on the guy, but he's been awfully. He says a lot of shit about me online. It's pretty funny. I haven't seen the guy since he got fired in 1990. But we didn't even do it. We had our managers fire him. It was like, get rid of this guy. We sort of knew the first night it was doomed, but. What can I say? That's just water under the bridge. Not even what we're talking about.
Right.
Peace and love. I don't hate anybody, by the way. Peace and love. I made it funny, okay? Because that is awesome. Funny. And that's, by the way, what it looked like through my eyes. All right, just so you know that.
Man, so I know you didn't expect Toto to be around this long, but besides,
I didn't expect me to be around this long.
Yeah, I hear that after. I was fucking exhausted just reading your book. I don't even know how you lived through that. I mean, literally, it was like.
Well, it's a funny thing because, and that's a broad stroke, that book. I mean, you have to understand, I've lived 61 years of craziness. That I so much hit the floor, so much hit the editing floor. There's a documentary that I'm going to make that's an offshoot of the book, which is going to be started soon. The guy, Nigel Cole, who did Bruce Springsteen's last one, came to me with this, thanks to Tracy Nurse at Sony.
That's awesome.
Who's going to back it. So it's really on the drawing table now. But I'm going to tell the story about a lot of the guys that came, say, after the Wrecking Crew and all that. I think it's important that generation of people and what we actually really did, because most people think studio music just as for the recording aspect, the records, not the guys that did TV film. Those were all written out notes. Those are every note written out. But the guys that did the records, who don't get all the love, and we get the shittiest pension from the fucking musicians union, by the way. Fuck you. No, it's really silly. I mean, but we got blank pages. They throw a bunch of chords in front of us and count off the song. No rehearsal, no demos, no these guys, I haven't played with a lot of these guys before. Oh, different studio, different engineer. Who's the artist today? They throw a chord chart in front of you. Yeah, there was a little bit of reading. You had to read a roadmap, rhythm notation, and that stuff like that. Occasionally a line written out, but nothing. We really had to create our own parts on the spot, and people don't understand that. And I want to prove that, and I want to talk to all the guys from the various generations to the last of the end of the era of the session man, which happened a while ago. Now, when people started doing, having their own studio and file sharing, and you lost any, like what we're doing right now, you could do a recording session. I've been in, I don't have a studio in my house. I like the separation of church and state myself. But I go home, I go to work. I don't like the same. I got little kids and stuff again. But anyway, you do this over the phone in somebody's studio in LA. You could be in New York, anywhere. We used to joke about it in the 70s. I want to phone in my part. Well, now you can. And there's something left out of that. I mean, I used to love walking into, say, Capitol Studios and see the trunks of the different musicians in the hallway. Oh, man, Lee Sklar's going to be. Oh, Jeff's on this monitor. Who else is on the stage? All right. Oh, great. It's going to be a great day. And every day was fun. Even if the music wasn't that great, we had a blast.
Yeah.
Going to work was a joy. It wouldn't work. It's not work at all. I can't say I ever went to work. The work is the travel and all the other crap. And,
sure.
But the actual sitting down, making the music with the guys in the room or on stage, that's not the job. That's the dessert. That's the payoff. That's the wow. This is why we do it. But it's all the business and all the other shit. Ask any musician. We all have the same story.
Yeah.
Your name here, if you've been around for longer than 5 minutes,
Hey, so I want to talk about some of the artists that you worked with. And if you could talk about how you got the gig and maybe a cool or interesting story about working with them. Some of these were mentioned in your book, and they were just really astounding. McCartney.
That came through Quincy Jones's office because I'd been working with him since the Dude record, which was the first record I did with him in 1980. So I would have been like 22, 23. And then through Quincy, Michael was doing Thriller, and McCartney came. We did the first day of the first tracking session of that album, and it was that song "The Girl Is Mine." And then Paul invited Jeff McCall and I to come back to London and work with him on his film, him and Linda, and that was just killer times, man. That was the first Beatle I got to work with, and that was a big deal for me, Paul McCartney. You know.
Any interesting or funny stories about that?
Well, well, first off, it was surreal. You know, the whole day was surreal. I mean, you got like McCartney and Michael Jackson, two of the biggest stars in the world at that time. I can't think of anybody bigger in 1980, actually, you know, considering what they both. Michael was coming off of Off the Wall. Paul McCartney's Paul McCartney. It was like a year or so after the tragic loss of John, so security was high, and we were all kind of vetted, and the whole thing was so insane. You know, it was like, okay, this is a big deal, and we're there. We were invited to be there. So we were there, and then you got Michael carrying Webster around like he's a ventriloquist doll. And that was pretty funny. I mean, there's some very interesting. Dick Clark was there, all these little child stars, and it was kind of surreal. So we all just rolled in the back door and stayed in the studio. We were anticipating meeting Paul. That was a big deal for us, you know, and Michael, because we had never worked with Michael before. I hadn't, anyway. And no, I don't think Jeff had either. Jeff McCall was there, David Page, David Foster, myself. I think it was Louis Johnson on bass, and Paul and Michael and me on guitar. And so he walked into the room, and that was huge. And he was so sweet. And we started jamming on that old Stevie Wonder song, "I Was Made to Love Her." Mm-hmm. Somewhere that exists on tape. That was a ripping version. Then Michael and Paul started doing a little duet in the phones. We were just jamming along, and that sort of set the pace for the day. It was like, wow, this is going to be a lot of fun. But then you see Michael carrying around Webster. I thought that was pretty funny.
So that's the monkey, right?
Yeah, I think Jeff sparked up a joint or something like that, and Paul walked in and he goes, "Oh, I smell musicians." You know? And I mean, that was about as intense as it got. I mean, Quincy knew us all, and we were like the second generation after like the Wrecking Crew. Then it was like, you know, Larry Carlton, the Crusaders, Ritenour, and his band, and the Section. Those were the guys that came before us, as far as the studio guys go. It's a broad stroke, anyway. As far as the record-making guys go.
Sure.
And then we came in, so we were the more rock and roll guys. Those were more like jazz guys that played rock and roll. And we were rock and roll guys that could do whatever you wanted us to do. And we sort of acted and looked the part. We were a little bit more irreverent and whatnot, so we started a whole other thing. But it was fun, man. It's one of the best times of my life being a session guy. I mean, I'm smiling telling the story.
David Gilmour.
Oh. Well, I met David through Jeff McCall, because when we were there with Paul McCartney in early '83, and David wanted Jeff McCall to play on About Face, his first solo album. And I was like, you know, I've been a David Gilmour fan since day one. You know, He was one of my all-time heroes sonically, and it's just what he's done, everything about the Floyd, you know. And I was so excited. David was going to meet him for dinner. And I was like, Jeff, you got to introduce me to Gilmour, man. You got to introduce me to Gilmour. And he goes, well, I'm going to go have dinner with him. We'll come back to the hotel and hang, you know. So I'm like, you know, hanging in the hotel room, staring at my watch, going, I'm going to meet Gilmour. So a few hours go by, and all of a sudden Jeff hits me, and he goes, yeah, we're coming up. I'm like, great. You know, this is awesome. So Dave comes in the room, and he's just the nicest cat you'd ever want to meet, ever. And it's very soft-spoken, proper Englishman, you know, I mean, a lot of class, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm this brash loudmouth from Los Angeles, you know? So, you know, we have a few drinks, and the next thing you know, Jeff begs off, and Dave's in my room until, 5:30 in the morning. I got a 6 a.m. call, you know? I'm like, fuck, you know? But it was worth every moment of it. And then Dave and I have stayed friends over the years. You know, I worked at his studio when I worked with Jeff Beck, on the ill-fated album that never came out in '97, and we've run into each other all the time. He's come to shows. I've been to the Floyd shows. I saw him when he played here in L.A. We share a lot of the same crew guys, and you know, he's one of my all-time favorite musicians, songwriters, artists, singers. Dave Gilmour, man. You know, I mean, all of his use of effects and all that really hit home for me. You know.
Yeah, he's my.
You know, I mean, if I have to say, he's a big influence on me as a musician, and also one of the nicest guys ever. You know,
you've made reference a couple of times to I just want to tell everybody, you've made reference, you're very self-deprecating, but I got
I'm really good. Well, have you heard the other players in town these days?
No, but I got to tell you, man,
I'm really so glad I'm an old bastard, man, because being in these youngsters, man, I mean, they're so ahead of the game than I was. I mean, there just wasn't anything like it, what's happening now then. I mean, I grew up, started strumming along with the Beatles records,
No, but you've been such a gentleman with me in your correspondence, in the brief phone calls we've had, and I know that you are not a boastful guy, but you've been a real first class person to deal with. I really appreciate that.
Well, thank you, man. Well, you don't have to be a dick. I never understood that. There may be some people that I've run into, perhaps that I wasn't as pleasant as I could have been, but there's a lot of reasons for that. It's real funny. People walk up and they meet somebody once. I got a great story. Put this in perspective. It's a brief one. You don't know. You see somebody famous, you see somebody you admire, and you go, gosh, that's really kind of exciting to meet somebody. And that's myself included. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm a fan. I still wow, that's so-and-so. I'd really love to meet him and say hi. Then I go, the cat's out with his kids or whatever. I got to be careful. I don't want to bum anybody out because it is weird to have people know you that you don't know.
Sure.
But for a perfect example of how something can be taken wrong, because you get these internet guys on this. The new thing is to make up, oh, I met Lukather. He said this and that, and he quoting me. I don't never said that. I don't even talk like that. They make up a conversation that's negative about you to somebody else. And go, oh yeah, I met him. What a cunt. I go, well, that's not really fair. For example, on our very first tour, David Page, our keyboard player in Toto, wizard, friend, dear brother, all that, who's also one of the nicest, most soft-spoken people on planet Earth, would give you the shirt off his back anytime. Never met a kinder man. Because I'm setting this up for a reason, because we were backstage in Canada, and a young Bryan Adams, who had his first album out, that our original bass player, David Hungate, played on, came to our show at Massey Hall in Toronto. And that night, he ran into David Page. And David kind of blew him off. And Bryan held that for all those years, became successful and all this stuff. And I forget where I was, somewhere at David Foster's house or something, doing something. And Bryan, a fellow Canadian, is on the phone. I said, he goes, oh, you want to say hi? I said, oh, I'd love to say hi to Bryan. I'm a big fan. Love the music. I get on the phone, and he proceeds to tell me the story about what an asshole David Page is. And I'm going, wait a minute, man. David Page? Are we talking about the same guy? I mean, this is really, it's crazy. And I go, wait a minute. When did you meet him? He goes, well, Massey, you're 1978, Massey Hall, blah, 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 blah. And I go, Bryan, that night, his mother died.
Holy shit.
I go, he wasn't nice to anybody that night. He was not nice. He just didn't have time. I think he just went like, yeah, nice to meet you, and walked away, And he wanted to be by himself because he was worried when we went on this tour that his mom was sick with cancer, that something was going to happen. Sure enough, it did. So before you judge somebody that you meet on the street that you don't know, that might be just because they're famous doesn't mean they don't have a life. Or even if they're not famous, you don't know who anybody is and what they're going through that day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Somebody flips you off in the car. You don't know. Maybe somebody, I had this happen to me when my mother died. She lived across the street from a park, okay, that I grew up in. Now, I found my mother dead in the house on Father's Day 10 years ago with my adult son. It was fucked up, right? Yeah. And my little sister's, losing her mind. Everybody's losing their mind. My mom's dead on the couch. What are we going to do? And some asshole parks in front of my mother's driveway because it's across the street from the park, right? So I get into it with the guy. I go, move your fucking car, man. Are you kidding me, man? My mother. And he's going, fuck you, man. And he comes at me. Like he wants to fight. I go, my mother just died, you prick. Give me a break. Who the fuck do you think you are talking to me? I'm like, see, man, we're living in this angry, fucked up world. Yeah. Where you can't even give somebody a break when their mother dies or somebody, because of the social networking shit. I mean, everybody thinks that they can just walk up and, while you're eating, and have a selfie while you're eating. Well, my 11-year-old kid wants to know why you want a picture of me, but it's not even me, anybody. I mean, I've read that are super famous, like, movie actors, somebody like Ringo or somebody that go out for dinner. It's hard just to be a normal person. So my point is that you meet somebody and they're maybe not as nice as you'd like them to be. And most musicians are really cool people. You say, thanks, man, great. No problem with a selfie or whatever the fuck you want to do. But sometimes if you get a no and a guy looks funny, maybe you have a bad day.
Yeah, it's
like everybody else. If somebody walked up to you and said, hey, man, how the fuck are you? And something horrible just happened to your family, you're not going to be really warm and fuzzy, are you?
No, of course not. Nobody would.
Okay, I don't know why I went on this 20-minute rant. Sorry.
No, it's all good, bro. Carlos Santana. Ba-dum-bum, right? How'd you meet Carlos?
It was a great honor to work with him. I mean, Carlos, the first time I worked with him was in 1986 at a show with Jeff Beck, Carlos Santana, and me, if you can imagine, only in Japan. I was so thrilled to be there with my heroes, and he was very, very nice to me. And I worked with Greg Raleigh and Ringo's band for the last 7 years, so I play his music, and I try to do a little nod as a tribute. I mean, there's only one Carlos Santana, so, some of the key signature licks you just got to play. Otherwise, you're a dick. It's part of the composition, But, I mean, he has a beautiful touch, man, and he's always been very nice to me. God bless.
Talk about, you know what, too, you mentioned that. I went back. After you said that in the book, you said, I did this video and people make fun of it. I went and looked at it. I didn't really think it was like I would have never thought of anything unless you had said that.
Oh, man, you got people in there saying, look at that coked out asshole. I'm going, first off, it's a death penalty in Japan. No, wasn't that. I was nervous as fuck. But what was happening, I jumped over a monitor, which looked like I was trying to hot dog the scene. It was the loudest thing I've ever been. I mean, there was monitors all across the front, huge side built, and monitors all across the band. There's like 10 guys on stage. Jeff Beck, Carlos Santana, me, all the loud guitars, plus Simon Phillips, Jan Hammer, Dougie Wimbish, Buddy Miles at one point. And it was so loud, I couldn't get away. Well, I jumped over to try to find a spot that wasn't destroying the sound pressure level. Well, I've had tinnitus ever since that day in 1986.
Holy shit.
Triple D above middle C. No, so I was trying to get away with it. And the other thing about that's fucked up about that is that they only took the effects side. One side of a stereo situation does not give you the full sound,
Of course not, yeah.
So it just sounded like a real over-affected and people it's first off, it was 1986. How long ago was
what's
that?
going to sound good from 86? It's like almost
in a mono thing, on a jam session. No, we didn't even rehearse for the gig, man. We had to for 5 minutes and went over a couple of heads and go, I know that. I'll fake it.
Yeah.
I was just happy to be there, man. I was honored. I was the young kid playing with my heroes.
Yeah.
And 30 years later, the shit surfaces and people just fucking beat me to death like I'm a piñata. And I just got to go. It's just like that other stupid video I did, the Starlix thing, where I'd just gotten a Bradshaw rig and I just turned everything on the next day. I said, this is cool. Let's just turn it all on and see what it sounds like.
Right.
Never thinking. I think I'm just doing this one-off little thing. Maybe, a couple thousand people at most will ever see this ever in life, Never figuring it's going to follow me around like herpes for the rest of my life. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Oh, there's an outbreak. It's a pustule. It's a fat one. Oh, boy, I better lance this motherfucker. It hurts.
Yeah, it was
I mean, there should be a statute of limitations on the, I realize being even a little famous like me, I'm not a big, super famous guy, but I'm famous enough to have the people beat the fuck out of me online, especially with the hair and the outfits from the 80s and the real unfortunate shit record company used to make you do for videos. And we have a stylist for you. Oh, I can't wait.
All right. Roger Waters.
Well, that's an interesting story because we were working on the Kingdom of Desire record, probably 1990 at Devonshire Studios, and a friend of ours, Patrick Leonard, was producing Roger. And at that time, there was a very tenuous relationship between Roger and David, so I didn't mention much. But I knew they were working there, and I had my shit there, and I just said casually and I also, James Guthrie, who had worked with us on the Past to Present record, he was the engineer. He's Pink Floyd's main engineer. He's the only guy that goes between Roger and
he's
David.
Like Switzerland. I think you said
he's
in your book, right?
He's also, and he's a brilliant guy. No, but I just sort of talked my way onto that one. I go, listen, if Roger needs an overdub or anything in my gears in the hallway, I'd love to play. It's free. Yeah. I knew that Jeff Beck had already done all the heavy lifting on that, and I heard somebody was brilliant because James had played. They were using this stuff called Q sound, which was the original 5.1 without the 5.1. They were taking phasing and making it weird so you could hear stuff going on behind you. It was sort of a failed experiment. It was supposed to work. And it worked if you were sitting right in the sweet spot, but it didn't really work outside of the studio, so it sort of fell apart. They spent a lot of money and time doing it. When they did it, when I heard it for real, what it was supposed to sound like, it was amazing. But anyway, I got to play on a couple, 3 tracks on that, and I got to work with Roger, who was extremely nice to me. And, you know, and I didn't mention anything about Dave, because at the time they hadn't spoken a lot. But there's a connection. I'm sure, you know, James Guthrie might have said, hey, listen, I work with Luke. He's a good dude. And obviously Patrick Leonard knew me at the time because I knew him when he first came to L.A. Not real well, but I knew him. And so that's how that happened. That was really fun. I was really honored to be a part of that.
You've done a good job about, like, you haven't been shy about asking for things, which I think is good, and I think a lot of musicians do.
Well, I talked my way out to an Eric Clapton session once, which was pretty funny.
Tell that story, man. That was
well,
great.
I just wanted to meet him, man. You know, a hero of mine.
Yeah.
I did actually run into him and Doyle Bremel literally 2 weeks ago in a hotel in Tokyo. I hadn't seen Eric in a long time. He stopped by to see Ringo. And I was really like, Dad, I haven't seen the guy in like 30 some odd years, you know. I just wanted to meet him. That's really how I did it. I knew the producers and I knew all the musicians, and Jeff got the call, and I knew the contractor. I called her up, Ivy Scoff. I said, Ivy, I want to be on the session. I don't care. Ask Russ, and it was Ted Templeman, and I want to say either Lenny Warnaker or Russ Titleman. One of those 2 guys were I think it was Lenny. And they said, yeah, we work with Luke on this. Yeah, Brad, if he wants to come. And they asked Eric, and Eric said, yeah, sure, bring him along. Yeah, I like the way he plays, you know, which is really touching.
Yeah.
And he was very nice, and I was kind of, it was one of the only sessions I was actually really nervous on. I played along, but I didn't really add what I normally add, which is a hook or something like that. There wasn't a lot to play. But I was there for a couple of days, and it was really a lot of fun. I just see that as a very positive experience, meeting a hero of mine. One of the few that makes me tongue-tied, actually. Eric Clapton. I spent a lot of time lifting the needle up those records at Hendrix Records, trying to learn how to play, you know?
And there's one more great story I want to talk about is your thing with Miles. That was awesome. Miles Davis. That was
Miles. That was a trip for us, man. You know, it all started out because he was doing that pop album in the 80s where he was doing pop songs, Miles style. And one of the songs was Human Nature, which was a Steve Lukather song. I think you're gardeners out
my
there, man.
Freaking landscaper. I mean, it's just like washing your car and you know it's going to rain. Like every time I have an interview.
Yeah, it's cool. As long as you can hear me,
no,
man.
I hear you fine. He'll be gone in a second.
No, it's really okay, man. Don't be okay, man. It's time for Anyway, what was I saying? Where were we again?
Miles Davis.
Wow. He was a trip, man. That was a real.
My kids eat those.
Your kids don't eat these, brother.
They do. My kids are adults.
I have two blown out shoulders.
Oh, right? That's what that's for. Oh, wow.
I was in a tour bus accident.
Yeah.
About 4 years ago. It's gone. I can't lift up a coffee cup past my tits.
That's amazing.
That's as much strength as I got. Couldn't get the operation because I lose the left hand. Yeah. So consequently, I was leaning on my right side for like 3 years. It finally cracked. So I have 2 broken shoulders now. I went on pain meds briefly, and we all know that movie ends badly.
Yeah.
My doc said, you got to take this, and then you got to use. If I was you, I'd use the THC. What do you call it? The muscle relaxers.
Yeah.
Because I've been like sober guy for 10 years. You know, what I mean, I'm a couple months away from 10 years of stopping drinking, doing anything bad, and I don't do anything else. You know, what I mean, and then he just said, you know what? I don't want you to take these Vicodin. This is bad for you. He goes, take these little 10 milligrams every once in a while.
Good.
And it's muscle relax. It doesn't make me high like, oh, wow, I'm stoned fucking Snoop Dogg or something like that, you know. Which would be, hey, good for I don't know how those guys can maintain. It's a little too strong for me. Way too strong for me. But I use these like, it's an aspirin with an oomph. It doesn't have any codeine. It doesn't make me not be able to, the rest of my body functions. You know, I don't use them when I'm working, but I'm off right now. I'm a strong, but you know what else really works incredible is the CBD balm, which is non-psychotropic. But you disrupt. I mean, I've tried everything, bro. I'm broken, man. Now I'm 60. After my whole life, the knees, the back, the arms, it's all gone. jumping off of pianos at 22 years old, drunk. Your knees and back finally come back to you like 40 years later. Go, hey, Jeff, fun asshole. Most of the things in my life that I did as a misspent youth. Although when you're young, it was so crazy back then. I mean, it was everywhere, so it was nowhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it was if you took somebody from this world right now and went in a time machine and like, okay, you're going to follow me around for a week from 1979, in 1979 and do everything I do and go everywhere I go, and it would be a mind fuck.
Yeah, it would be, actually. That's interesting to say that.
I mean, just the amount of work, the sessions, when I get okay, here's the chart, okay, I played the song twice already this week. There'd be songs that the songwriters would circulate. And you come up with a great part on one song, and it's the same song comes across your desk being your music stand.
Yeah.
Yeah, a week later with another artist, and they want another vibe, and you go, I already came up with a part for that. And Jeff McCartney would be on the day, and we go, we both were on that session. It's like, what the fuck are we going to do? Then it happened a third time. You know, like, man, this is a shit that wouldn't happen these days.
Was it just
so you have to be smart. You try to get up different parts for every version of the song. And a lot of times the same songwriter would be there. And we'd be going like, dude, it's us again, man. Well, it's a different artist. You got to go for a different thing,
So this is what
we filled in the blanks.
How
many people? You take any of these guys, any of these hotshot guys. And when I say hotshot, I mean guys that are really primarily building their career and their life on the chops, right? But you stick them on a session with no warning, no idea even what kind of music you're gonna play. Throw B minor G A, B minor A G, 2 bars each, and no rehearsal, no idea what's going on. They count off the song and the red light's on. What are you gonna play? Either you develop this muscle or you don't, and it's an arranging mind. Like you have to hear. When you see an E chord written, you don't just go bang, bang, play an E chord. You got to not play that. You got to find something else around it and listen to everybody else that's going on and immediately connect with a part that's hooky and stays out of the way of the melody. And if there's another guitar player, you have to split apart with him. And this all has to go down within the first 16 bars of the first run through.
Right.
Okay. There's not a lot of cats that can roll with that, play in time and in tune, and not fall. If the producer goes, I don't like that. What else you got?
Yeah, you got to have a plan B,
First
C, and
take.
D.
First take, never fucking playing anything. And be considerate of all the, I really love that piano part, you got to do this. So you got to make your part work around where that starts. But usually what was interesting is our instincts were so good that they'd use the first 3 takes, one of the first 3 takes. And if there was a wrong note, you could put, I missed going to the bridge. Let me punch in the first part of that bridge. Punching in meaning going back and just let me get in for those 2 bars. They press record in and out and you can fix your part. Now, that's not the same thing as cutting and pasting now. We were using tape, and there were takes, and sometimes they'd have to make decisions like, do we go over that magic take or because we don't want to spend the money on the next reel of tape? I mean, when you're dealing with digital, let's apply tape and takes. Sure. There's no tape, you can just keep recording and then cut and paste anything you want. But back then, you had to play good. You had to sing good. And the rules of engagement were much different.
What do you think? So let me ask you this, and I still want to get to the Mayall story, but what do you think?
Oh, yeah, I never got back to the
No,
Mayall
but hold
story.
on. But this is interesting. What do you think the skill set or talent or fucking voodoo or whatever you want to call it that you had that allowed you to do that so effectively?
Well, you know what? I mean, I was in pretty good training because in high school, Jeff McCartney was at Steely Dan, so, the bar was that high. Me and Michael Landau were, been childhood friends since we were 12 years old. And we were both in the same high school band with Steve Lukather, and we saw that Jeff was there, David Page. We were starting to become aware of, Ritenour, Carlton, that whole era, Jay Graydon. And then later, Ray Parker Jr. When people think of Ray, they think of Ghostbusters.
Right.
When I think of Ray, I think of one of the finest heart-playing, funky musicians, just badass, make everybody sound good, feel good. Ray Parker Jr., And me and him used to do a lot of sessions. I was the rock guy. We used to develop this thing, which has now become this horrendously called like L.A. AOR song, or even worse, yacht rock, which was to us just a week of sessions during 1980, 79 through 84, Those were just gigs.
Yeah.
We didn't have a title for it. It's like, well, okay, I'm working for Kenny Loggins there. Christopher Cross there, Cheap Trick there, Aretha Franklin there, Quincy Jones there, and that's 1 week. So, I mean, you know, you don't want to call it yacht rock. I mean, where's my fucking yacht? You know what I mean? I want my yacht.
But what about you? What was the skill set that you, in your opinion?
The skill set was like, what do you play when they just put nothing in front of you? And we come up with the parts. Yeah, I could give you a lot of examples. I could say, okay, the song, let me see. I Keep Forgetting by Michael McDonald. All they threw in front of me was B minor AG. Okay? They counted off the song. I immediately went to that muted part. I just heard it in my head. And they loved it. The whole band clicked, and the second take is the record. We'd never heard the song before. Michael might have sat at the piano on Rhodes. Michael McDonald, I'm talking about. Yeah. And just kind of gave us a vibe of what the song was about. And then we all grabbed our instruments and we start fiddling about. And the next thing you know, I got a little germ of a part, and Jeff starts playing this groove. Everybody's going, this is great, that's great, let's take this. Let's put these ideas on tape so we don't lose any of them. Okay, the first run-through was almost a record. The
you mentioned that really consistently.
Yeah, and, all we got was a chord chart. Here's the chord chart, and this is the form. You know, you go down to, there's the repeat. You go down here to the DS, which means go back to the top to the little coda, which means go to the bridge, which goes to the, you know, you have to read a certain level of reading music, but it's lightweight reading. It's not even reading music. Occasionally, there was no notes written on the part, in other words. They were just chord symbols and a form, which is how the song goes. And by the second take, we had it. So I came up with that part. Now, if you take that part out, it's a different song.
Right.
I did the same thing with Human Nature for Quincy Jones. It was the same B minor, A, G. Okay?
Totally different.
But different. And Quincy's going, you got to make this funky for me, man. And, you know, Steve Lukather hated the part. Steve wrote the song. And I said, I gave him what he wanted. This is what I came up with on the spot. And, you know, he ended up digging the part later. But, okay, another example. E minor D C, which is the same thing, a fifth up, was Stand Back by Stevie Nicks. And they wanted a Billie Jean guitar part. I came in, they didn't have nothing written for me. That was the first take. I go, I think I got something. Plugged in direct, and that's the record. So the skill set is like you have to immediately go, I hear a part. And the part is not, oh, let me dazzle you with my chops or something like that. A part is something that it gives you a hook in the song that makes you, you know, that helps the whole overall record, whether it be harmonically or groove-wise, hopefully both.
Right.
And the skill set was like, we all did that 4 or 5 times a day, every day for 20 years.
So your muscle was
I saw incredible musicians come in and sit with a bunch of us that have been doing this stuff every day forever. To me, even when I was a kid, it seemed real natural for me. I always heard parts and stuff. So, I mean, I had that inherent skill set, which I wasn't aware of at the time, that I could come up with parts on the spot. And then I realized that you needed to do that, so I studied that a lot when I was studying music before I got my chance to get into the studio. But I'm editing now to later on in life. I've seen some guys that were just incredible musicians, but they throw them in the room, and you put the chart of nothing in front of them, and you count off the song, and they see the red light on, and they panic. And they either don't play anything, or what they play is just wrong. And they get all flustered, and all of a sudden they stop the momentum of the session. And then the producer or artist who thought, well, I'm going to bring in this ringer who's going to kill everybody, should have brought him in as an overdub so he could take his time. But the cat flop sweating in 5 minutes, and he ends up getting shit canned and ruins his fucking mental life. And you're just going, I can't believe so-and-so got thrown off the session. This is unbelievable to me. Or you come back the next day and the guy's gone. There's somebody else there. You go, okay, I see how this one's up. But you don't say nothing. It's not my place to say anything. But there was a core group of guys that we saw a lot of the same handful of guys. There's maybe 20 of us that played on every record that came out of L.A. for a good damn near 20 years. Various combinations and permutations of us, but at the same time, there'd be me and Jeff, and then maybe Foster, maybe it'd be somebody else, but you'd always seen the same handful of guys. And, we're going to have a great time because everybody's sick, demented sense of humor. We used to, back in the old days, getting high in the studio is like, well, it's only because we're sitting in the hallway listening to the drums all day. They hire us to sit in the hallway to get a drum sound. So we'd be like, I know I'm not going to play today. What's going on? But they wouldn't let us leave, and they were paying us. They should have hired the drummer for the day, saved themselves a fortune.
Right.
So, that's where I learned how to get into trouble as a young man. But on the other hand, when it came time to work, you couldn't be messed up while you were working. Come on.
So let me ask. Get to Miles, and then I want to ask you a question about that.
Oh, well, Miles was just an accident. He came to work with Steve Lukather on Human Nature for his pop album, and we found out about it. And they were working at David Page's house, who was one of the early on guys who had his first really great home studio. So Miles was cutting over there with Steve Lukather because Steve was the only guy that could do the intro with his wall of synths, and it was a very magical thing that he can do. But and we wanted him to play on our record. We were doing Fahrenheit at the time, and Dave and I had written a song. It was very sketches of Spain kind of a thing. We thought we were getting a little heady in our youth, being still in our 20s. We thought, well, if we play this for Miles, maybe he'll play it on our record, you know? And when he came, I tell the whole story. It's really funny in my book, you know. How
it's great.
Fake dog and shit. And we thought we had heard, Miles doesn't really like fucking, you know, white people or something. It was really something stupid that didn't make any sense. Yeah, but we were scared of him. He was like this voodoo master, like Miles Davis. You know,
right.
I mean, even the jazz, like David Page's father, Marty Page, famous jazz arranger and composer and producer, and Joe Porcaro, famous jazz drummer, session musician. They go, you guys are hanging out with Miles Davis. Are you fucking kidding me? You gotta be careful of this cat. You know, he's crazy. And we're just going, it's Miles Davis. Fuck it. We're at David Page's house. He shows up, and he couldn't have been nicer. And he spent a whole week with us. He's laughed at Dave and I playing the song, and he said, yeah, I like it. I'll play on that for you. And he showed up at Jeff's studio, Jeff Porcaro's studio, and we did this track, and then he hung out with us for a week. He did the track with Steve Porcaro, which came out great. We were dying that he was playing on our track. We couldn't believe it. It was so great. Blown away. Months later, he calls me on the phone and asks me to join his band, which was crazy for me, being the guitarist that had gone on before me. You got John McLaughlin, Mike Stern, you know, and the list goes on. You know what I mean? Every great guitar player you can imagine played with Miles Davis. But, you know, I'm going, like, really? And we're leaving the next day to go on tour for the 3-month sold-out Fahrenheit tour. I had to say no, but Miles said really nice stuff about us in the press and freaked people out. People couldn't believe that he worked with us, of all people. For some reason, he spent a week with the whitest motherfuckers there are in North Hollywood.
And tell people how he got paid. Tell people how he got paid. This is the best part.
Well, no, he didn't want to take any money, man. You know, like, you know, so Jeff Porcaro had this art, which is actually this on my arm.
I was wondering about that. Yeah.
The Martini Man, which was a caricature Jeff Porcaro came up during our third album. And and Jeff was a hell of an artist, too. And he had a copy of it in the studio. And Miles looked at it.
Hanging on the wall.
He was hanging on the wall. And Miles saw that when we said, well, how can we pay for this? He goes, man. He goes, I want that painting. And Jeff goes, it's yours, you know. He goes, but first I'm going to make you something. And he sent his guy out to get all these colored pens. And he made Jeff a Miles Davis drawing, which is, you know, somebody in Jeff's family has it now.
That's really cool.
And he hung out with us for a week, man, with Tommy LaPuma. Oh, God bless his soul, and the legendary producer who brought him to us, actually. And we had a lot of laughs, man. He was actually very funny. He was telling us Philly Joe Jones stories, and we were mesmerized by this guy, and he was nothing like what we were told. And apparently, it got back to us that he really liked us, or he wouldn't have hung around with us at all, let alone for a week.
Of course. Yeah, wasn't anybody like that? You're not gonna.
There was a certain silliness and innocence to us that I think. I talked to Bill Evans about this, you know, famous saxophone player, which I have another side band called Toxic Monkey with Keith Carlock and Will Lee and all that, Steve Weingart, killer band. We're going to work this next year, too. But anyway, Bill used to hang with Miles and was in Miles' band for a long time, and he had heard about it. He said, no, Miles liked you guys. He goes, for real, it was really funny, because when David Foster found out that Miles worked with us, he called Miles. Well, I want you to work on this record. And Miles goes, $50,000.
Yeah, I like that story. That was great.
And we thought that was the funniest thing we'd ever heard in our life.
Great.
You know, so you gave it to us for free, but you charged. Wow, so he must have liked us.
Yeah.
To get him to do something that he had already done before, like revisit a style of music like Sketches of Spain. Miles wasn't really keen on returning to his old roots. You know what I mean? He was always breaking new ground.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Yeah, he'll acknowledge it. When we said, it's kind of like, we got this tune, it's kind of like Sketches of Spain, he goes, "Oh, you like that shit?" And it was like totally mild. His deliveries, his comedic
your delivery
timing.
of his voice, you're like mimicking.
We
It's
spent more
right
time laughing. We spent more time laughing at the stories he was telling us than anything else, which I'm guessing here because I don't really know. But I mean, that may have endeared us to him.
Yeah.
We were legitimately like, yeah, we got these tunes. He liked the tune that we played. Dave and I had 2 pianos, which he made fun of. And we just, after he made fun of us, we go, yeah, man, you're right. We do suck, man. We were fucking losers. But, like, he goes, man, and he lightened up and he became, he was funny. And then he wanted to change shit. He was classic Miles. Everything you've heard about him. We had this great moment. And then he asked me, a couple months later, the record came out. He listened to the album, and apparently he liked it, which was mind-blowing. La Puma called me. He goes, Miles is calling you on the phone. It's really him. Take the call. So I took the call, and it's fucking Miles Davis. And he's going, hey, man, I want you to come to New York tomorrow and join my band. And I'm going, are you kidding me, Miles? I go, first off, I can't. And this is terrible. I can't, but I mean, I have a tour book. We leave tomorrow. I mean, 35, 40 people on the payroll. The gigs are sold out. I mean, I can't just leave them in a lurch. I mean, I would never do that to you. I go, I'm deeply honored that you would even ask me. Yeah. I go, also, you could fire me the next day. And then I got nothing, which he thought was funny.
That is funny.
And I just said, look, any other person. So I said, look, you should call Robin Ford, Mike Landau. You should, there's a lot of great guys out there. And he ended up calling Robin. And the rest is history. And Mike, I think, worked on Tutu or stuff like that. Yeah. So, I mean, he got around all the guys that we love. But I was so deeply honored to even make that list of... And he ended up cutting our song that David and I wrote on it with his own band, live in Montreal.
That's really
which means that he dug the track, which really was a double. Like, wow. And he said some nice things about us in the press, because he wasn't jaded. He was the first guy... I like electric guitars. I like them messing it up. I'm not a traditional bebopist. He didn't want to play his own classic, standards anymore. He wanted to play weird. It's like, why is he doing a pop album? Well, because he goes, I like the melodies. I can play something off the melodies. It wasn't like that he went pop, per se. He just liked to riff off the melodies. That's what we got out of that conversation.
2 things I want to ask you about. You just said, number one, your work ethic has been really important to you, and even you'd be shit faced. You'd always show up on sessions on time. No. Let me. Hold on.
Showed up shit faced.
No. I said you were shit faced.
Lime, I fucking was overserved more than once, and I'm rather embarrassed about that.
You might have been shit faced the night before, but you showed up on a session on time.
No. I mean, I may have showed up hungover. There's a difference between being hungover and shit faced.
But you were on time. Hold on.
Yeah, no, I was.
I'm giving you a compliment. Just enjoy it. Hold on. I'm giving you so your work ethic and your awareness of that has really been important to you. The second thing is you're super direct, and that's not which I love, because don't piss on my back.
What do you mean?
You're, like you just said, you told Miles, hey, Miles, the other thing is you might fire me the next day and I'll have nothing, right? So that's direct.
It's an honest concern, really.
Right. Okay. So, but a lot of people, I like that. Like I said, don't piss on my back and tell me it's raining, right? Just lay it on the way it is.
Oh, yeah. Well, listen, I had to be honest. I think, again, the honesty paid off.
But
honesty always pays off, even when it's unpleasant to hear.
I agree, but not everybody can be honest. So I have 2 questions. The work ethic.
That's true.
The work ethic, where did that come from, and why? Not really where, because I know it came from your dad. Why was that always, and is it still, and is still very important to you? And the second thing is,
I just got pissed off at my 11-year-old daughter because we were 2 minutes late for school today. Okay. It's still
let me
there.
Tell you,
it's still there.
Let me tell you, got a lot more pissed off to get. You wait, which you know.
Yeah, no, I have a 34-year-old daughter who's married too, so I know exactly what's coming.
Yeah, this ain't
good. Which I'm a lot more relaxed this time, and I'll be a lot funnier. But although I was very funny, I tortured my oldest daughter's boyfriends, and I will torture my youngest daughter's boyfriends.
As you should.
Oh yeah, I'm still fucking with my son-in-law, who I adore. I'm saying I want to be. I said, listen, man, I got to be a grandpa before I die.
Yeah, you talk about that in your book a lot.
So I'm going like, no more gobbling. You understand me?
Work ethic. Why is that so important?
Because my father was a Marine at 16 years old. If I was late for anything, I get the belt. Okay.
Yeah.
It kind of gets your mind right when you're late and you get your ass whooped with a Marine belt with holes in it. And it was like really taught to me early on. My grandfather was also in the movie business. Being on time, it's like $10,000 a minute when you're late. So I mean, that was instilled into my head. You're not late. You don't show up late unless you're legitimately ill, accident, legitimate excuse. Yeah. Otherwise, leave a half hour early. Nobody's mad at people when they get there early. You know what I mean?
Yes.
He goes, there'll be times that you have a car breakdown, a flat tire, which has happened to me before, where you're late. And you just go, fuck. But this is before cell phones. So it was really weird if you were late.
Yeah.
You'd be sitting there, all of a sudden 40 people are waiting for a session. It's like it's costing them a fortune. You don't get a second. You get very rarely do you get a second chance on something like that. But it was just out of respect. I respect people's time.
Yeah.
You call me. I was a minute late because I didn't see the phone go off. But I respect your time. Your time is valuable to you, so my time is valuable to me. And I really hate it when people are, you give somebody 10 minutes or something like that. Fine, that doesn't count. But after 10 minutes, it's like, what the fuck, dude? At least call me or something. Text me.
Yeah.
Let me know I got a problem, stuck in traffic or whatever. Yeah, great, fine. As long as I know.
Right.
But you leave somebody sitting there, you fucking hang somebody up, and especially when there's money involved. People don't have time for that. They don't call you again. You're late, you get one or two lates, and then it's like, fuck you. You know what I mean?
Talk about the other thing. You're super direct, and I know...
I never thought of it that way before.
No, but I mean, it's good. I like I said, I like that. It's refreshing because there's no mystery. You know where you stand, and there's no fucking.
So I'm too old to be full of shit anymore, man. No, but
I don't think
when you're young and you're trying to sell yourself, you're a little bit full of shit. Everybody is. You know what I mean? It's part of the dance. You're trying to sell yourself. I get it, but you get to a certain age, it's like if you're not real, then what the fuck are you?
I agree. Top 3. This is a tough one, man. If you could even answer it. Top 3 musical experiences you've had for whatever reason.
Ooh, wow, man. And they're weird ones. Okay.
Oh, that's cool.
I would say the first time when we played at our 5th grade dance, my band, and all the girls screamed, and all of a sudden I went from being a fucking dork, picked on, bullied unmercifully to like everybody. All of a sudden, I was cool, and the girls screamed just like they did for the Beatles, quote unquote. Please, sure. I say that with a quote unquote. They screamed. To me, it was like I was experiencing what it must be like. You know what I mean? In my little 11-year-old brain. So from that moment, I was hooked. That was like the first cherry buzz, if you will. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, I got to have more of that. I ain't gonna stop. And that was not based upon money, girls. I was prepubescent at the time. I was just like, this is the power of music.
Just felt good.
Standing up here, this little kid holding a jazz master that looked like it was like Land of the Giants because I was about 3'8" and weighed about 80 pounds. But I had a Boss Tone fuzz tone hooked up to it, and I played, and we played pretty good. We played good. I was playing with a couple of guys. We played. People dug it. I was singing before my voice changed, which is hilarious. And that was the first one. I'd say the second big moment, it's going to be a tie. Big moment was getting the gig with Boz Scaggs. That really kind of changed everything. Oh, no, I take that back. I'm going to go back earlier. Meeting Steve Lukather and his whole family, that changed my life. Because then I met Jeff and David, and I found out about studio players, and that really opened up a whole new, I got to start studying and getting my shit right. And I'd say the one that happened after that would be getting the gig with Boz Scaggs' Silk Degrees tour, which was also at the same time the rumbling of Jeff and David Page starting a band with Steve Lukather, and I was being considered, and I had played some demos, and the dates around town started going from doing demo sessions to real sessions, and I started seeing the career start to happen. The next big one would be obviously Toto's first hit single, Hold the Line, having a real hit single in your own band, and the album goes platinum, and then boom, we're off, And then beyond that, there's so many highs, from getting to play with so many heroes.
Yeah.
I'd say the culmination of that, the next big one that really kicked me in the ass was actually pretty recently, was when I got asked to do the Beatles' 50th anniversary of being on the Ed Sullivan Show. Now, understand that the Ed Sullivan Show was the first time I saw the Beatles.
Sure.
And single digit, 7, 8 years old, whatever the fuck it was, something like that. And I got my first guitar to edit 50 years later. I'm standing there looking at Paul and Ringo right in front of me. I've worked with George as well. My whole career kind of flashes before me. I look up at a what do you call it? A film of Hard Day's Night, which I made my grandmother take me to 1,000 times. And I looked and I realized that I've been spending all week learning all these tunes in different keys for different artists. And I was just a gig, and I had the relationship with a small relationship with Paul. I mean, we'd work together, spend a few weeks together. I don't really know him that well, but he was always really nice. He was super nice there. But Ringo and I have become great friends, and George and I were pals. And all of a sudden, I'm standing there going, "What?" It hit me, and I just like this, like, what are the mathematical odds of a kid from North Hollywood seeing the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show to edit to I'm in the all-star band playing for these guys, staring at them face to face, and having a wonderful week with the rehearsals with all the guys and hanging. It was a magical week that I actually made. I mean, that was the first time I looked back at my career from A to Z. And at that moment, I went full circle with it. And it was like, holy fuck. And I actually kind of got a little bit emotional to myself. I mean, the gig was the gig. It was what it was. And it was a lot of fun. It was a great honor to be there. Some very interesting choices of people doing their material, but I don't run television.
Right, yeah.
But I'm saying the overall thing was really, really great. And the whole experience was fantastic. And I was so touched and honored. It really hit me, the humility of like, holy fuck, I pulled this off. And I say that with the greatest humility.
Sure, yeah.
I don't know how I got here, but this dream that life went from black and white to color when I saw the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show to 50 fucking years later. I'm standing there looking at this going, holy shit, I fucking did this. And now that was 2014, so add 5 years to that. I mean,
thanks, man.
From the moment the music hit my heart and soul to the time I struggled through my first E chord to this time, and everything that's happened in between, it's almost like your whole life flashes before your very eyes. So those would be the biggest moments of my life, and the fact that I'm still doing it after all these years, and the fact that we're still doing as well as we have despite all odds. I mean, I think we've had to work twice as hard as anybody else to attain the same shit. For some reason, we were the band to hate. In many cases, still are. For reasons, weird reasons. Like, oh, you're not a real band, you're studio players. It's like, no, we were a real band in high school. We just happened to do this,
Yeah.
And people look at like, when they used to say you guys are studio players, like that's a bad thing. It's like, dude, I don't think you understand what this job requirement is. We're not just sitting there on hemorrhoid donuts reading dots, that are written out for. Now, there was a few sessions you had to be able to do that, but that's not why we all got hired. Those guys are specialists in another arena. Yeah. That's a whole other set of guys. They can absolutely, put something in front of them that is the scariest thing you've ever seen musically, and they just don't even flinch or even look at it. They count it off in D flat with like all the flats, or something. They just sight read this shit like it was like drinking a glass of water.
Yeah.
That's a skill set I'll never have. And when I see guys do it, it's like a magic trick to me. I go, dude, I can read music, but Jesus, what you just did was, how does your brain work that way? Or a piano player who has to read two different clefs, or sometimes these organ players in a church that have like the bass pedals, all the shit. I don't know how they read. It's like 4 or 5 clefs at one time.
Yeah.
How do you split your brain to do that? I mean, I'm dyslexic, which is why everybody makes fun of my texts, my tweets, and my emails.
I don't think that
autocorrect is not my friend either.
Yeah, I think
I sent a great one to Satriani the other day because he was so beautiful. He sent me a present of his new box set, which was really his son ZZ did the design. It was incredible, and like. So I write him this whole, I just got back from tour. It was already here. I'm like, Jesus, Joe, thanks so much, and blah, blah, blah. I write all this shit. And, I type do it real fast, and I really pay much attention because I got so much of the shit. And I said it. It was just, I love you, thank you, you're the best. I can't wait to dive into it. You know, all the regular shit you would say to your friend, like, thank you for the gift, especially him. So I get back, wow, you know, and then he goes, wow, that was incredible, or some funny shit, like what? Then I reread what I said. It was so nonsensical. It was like I must have taken acid and written it. And I wrote, Jesus, Joe, I'm so sorry, I'm dyslexic. He goes, no, I love these. These are fantastic. You know, it's like, okay, what am I going to do? I have to give it up, you know?
Hey, in the book, there's a quote from your sister, if you're comfortable.
Yeah, man. My sister's my angel, and I love her.
She says, my brother is still an insecure person, but he's just able to hide it. He puts up this protective wall so people can't see how sensitive he really is. But I got the sense by the end of the book that you're really okay being more open nowadays. And I was curious if that's correct. And if so, what's caused some of that?
Well, understand my sister, when she, you know, God bless her, she's so sweet. You know, she's so badass. She used to beat up the bullies for me, which is tough to take, being that she's 3 years younger than me. That tells you how teeny and fucked up I was. No, I think she's looking back at our childhood. Where I was so incredibly insecure and, you know, like bullied and terrible at sports and really small and shy, you know, peed in my pants in class, you know, did all, you know, tortured by the bully on the school bus back in the days when you used to say, well, man, was a Marines, like, suck it up, pal. Yeah. Deal with it. I was like, I don't want to deal with this, you know? Yeah. And music became sort of a shield, and that helped change everything. Now I've lived my whole life, good, bad, and ugly, incredible and fucked up, whatever, all the above and everything in between, and I'm older. I don't give a fuck what anybody says.
But you also
we live in a world where you have to end up dealing with, like, people's opinions thrown in your face. It used to be bad enough one guy hated you every fucking 2 years when you put a record out or did a show. Now every day somebody's coming for your head, man, and it's not fair. These fake names, and some people are the same person and they just do it over and over again. And now everybody knows it's bullshit. Everybody has haters. I don't care how great you are. You're like, likes, dislikes. This is the worst thing that ever happened to humanity. This likes, dislikes, social media. It's so great, and I mean, the internet is so great and so fucked up at the same time. Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, now you're going to get all conspiracy on you now to make you laugh. I do take this shit with a grain of salt, so understand it. That I'm just kind of joking around. But the deal is, you know, if you think about what's happened in the last few years. I mean, ever since the last 20 years with these boxes. You know, are you better off really knowing what everybody's opinions about life, politics, and personal shit?
I can't stand it.
You know, I mean, the divide and conquer factor here is just the most unbelievable thing. The misinformation, the lies. I mean, you know, sick pornography. I'm not talking about bigtitties.com that everybody loves or whatever, you know, whatever it is. I'm talking about dark, violent, and sometimes sexually violent and perverse shit that's beyond the normal spectrum of what a normal human being might want to check out for laughs on a Friday night, alone with a bottle of lotion. You know what I mean? I'm just saying that's
maybe the best. Might be the best quote.
Personal thing. God bless you. I don't care.
Might be the best quote in 500 interviews.
You know what I'm saying? You know, clean up after you. As I told my oldest son, clean up after yourself. You got a sister. And nothing he wouldn't laugh at. My oldest son's a badass. You'll probably interview him one day. But anyway, the whole other thing is just, no, I don't care anymore, man. I'm funny to some people. I'm repulsive to others. You know, some, like, even my little kids, man, they got to deal with it. Some of the parents look at me like, I don't trust this guy. And I go, I'm probably the guy you should trust.
Well, you're so direct. I don't think, you know, it's when you know what you're dealing with, it's like, you know.
Well, you know, the thing is, I am what I am, like it or not, and there's enough history of me on the internet and some of the boneheaded things I've done, some of the shameful, drunken moments that I've had on stage that I like to slit my own fucking throat because it's humiliating to see myself, to have let myself go to the point that I did, and I can't make it stop. I ask people, I have somebody that works, and I go, can you have them take that down? That's really, I'd like to forget that night of my life. That was like because my father died or whatever, you know. I killed myself. I couldn't stand where I was. Whatever. I mean, I can make up any excuse in the world. People go, it's just making up excuses. He sucked. Yeah, I did. But, you know, after 20 years, do I get a fucking, can you take him down? You've had enough. 250,000 people saying I suck is enough. Okay, you got to try to be on the other side of this fame thing. People think, oh, I want to be famous. I'm not even that famous. I'm famous enough for people to fuck with me.
Are you okay, though? Have you forgiven yourself for all this?
Yeah, man.
Okay, it doesn't matter, man.
You know, I still, honest to God, I have and I haven't. It's a thing that I go to a shrink. I mean, I'm a psychiatrist, psychologist, you know. It's a very strange life I've led. I mean, you take a teenage kid and you throw him in the big kids and put him at the big boys table. And I was always playing with guys older than me, which was always getting me into trouble, way ahead of my normal scheduled time to arrive at trouble. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So all the innocence and the craziness of the late 70s and 80s of the drugs and the booze and partying and staying up all night and, you know, thinking you're bulletproof and all that stuff, that's fine, dandy when you're a young person, especially at the time when it was all considered acceptable behavior. Yeah. It is certainly not now. And it's a whole set of rules and a whole set of values and a whole set of business ethics. I mean, nothing's the same. And it's not better. I'm just saying, you live and learn. But, you know, I grew up in front of a camera of one sort or another. Now it's film. But I grew up and I can see the innocence. I mean, somebody gave me a book with me on the cover. I was 22 years old. I look like I'm 12. You know what I mean? So to myself, you know. Yeah. And I'm looking at this shit. I'm going, there's a life lived. I look in the mirror now. I go, I don't look too bad for a 61-year-old guy.
No.
But on the other hand, there's a lot of life that's been lived in here. And some of it was really dark and weird. And all of a sudden, when things got out of control, I was still working and still trying to maintain it. Divorces, life, too much booze, too much everything. Life beating me down. I couldn't stop the train, so I had to stay on it. And I let it get off the tracks. And I humiliated myself on more than one occasion playing live impaired. I never did it in the studio. That's why the studio era. And people go, well, he's playing fine in the studio. He's great. Whatever. You know? But live, because I was looking around the stage with cats that weren't really pulling their weight in some cases, or me just not happy being there, going, where are the rest of my high school buddies that aren't here anymore?
Yeah.
And my home life was fucked up for whatever reason, not once but twice. So it got away from me a couple of times, the booze and all that stuff, and that's fucked you up. Most everything else you can bullshit your way through, but booze or hard drugs or pills, you can't fake it. You know what I mean? You're fucked up and you can't play. It's a real painfully obvious. And you used to be able to leave a bad show at a gig and drive away, and it was just a bad memory. Well, now this shit's like herpes. It follows you around forever.
Yeah, forever.
You know what I mean? And you know, sometimes I avoid it. I don't look, but once in a while, there it is. And, you know, the old what happens if I press the red button? Don't touch the red button.
Yeah,
what happens if I do?
You got the little guy on this side, the little guy on that side.
Every time you go, okay, you might as well just slit your throat. My shrink's like, it's like cutting yourself. Why do you do that for? I don't need to read how great I am, and nobody ever remembers that anyway.
Sure.
People go, yeah, that's nice. Oh, wow, this guy hates my guts. You focus the myopic view. You focus on the negative. And every artist, every actor, every writer, every director, everybody, musician, everybody's ever done anything, going back since the beginning of the first written original idea, having somebody perform it as an actor or as a musician. Do you like what I did? Do you like me? It's all this deep-rooted insecurity, which is probably what my little sister was talking about. Yeah. Because I was so like a beaten dog. I was so afraid everybody hated me. I was a dork. And when I was young, I was hanging out with older guys. Obviously, their girlfriends wouldn't like me. I was too young, but I'd fall in love with them and have a broken heart, carry around this unrequited love and all that. Yeah. All the beat, and then they make fun of me and pants me and humiliate me and shit, you know. So, I mean, I was constantly getting beat up. So when you fill your oats and you start to get like, okay, I got a little something to give here, you start feeling weird about it, and then you anesthetize yourself, and you know all the rest of it goes down a dark path. I mean, it usually doesn't end well for anybody, you know. Ain't no old junkies, you know what I mean?
Man, thank you for sharing that. What is the biggest difference in the way you see things now, 10 years sober versus before?
I wish I'd have stopped when I was a kid. I wish I never would have done any of it. I wish I would have never done any of it and let it get out of control. I'm not sorry I did some. I mean, I'd be lying to you if I told you we didn't have some amazing fucking wild times.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, it wasn't all bad. But when you mix it with work, see, that's where the fine line goes. I mean, playtime is playtime. People play time all the time, and I don't judge anybody. I don't belong to any organizations that allow me to pontificate or judge another human being. But at the same time, I wish that I would have missed some of the stupid things and lost days, lost time, lost money, things I could have done. I could have been a better father to my older kids. I sort of sent out some wrong messages the first time around. My oldest daughter, God bless her now, she's 34 years old next week or week and a half. Married. I'm so proud of her. She's a great chick. But she reminds me of, oh, Dad, I used to have a whole set of Barbie dolls. I'd name after every, I just sent out the wrong messages that sleeping around and partying all night was a good idea. Smoking and drinking was a way of life. You know what I mean? So when they got to be teenagers and they threw it back in my face, it sort of backfired.
Yeah.
Now, new sets of kids, my 11-year-old and my 8-year-old, they'd never seen me do anything.
Right.
I'm like total straight dad. I'm up at 6 in the morning pulling them out of bed, and they've never seen me have a drink or a cigarette or do anything, be falling around the house or being an idiot at all. They've heard. I said they haven't read the book. When you're 19, you can read the book.
Yeah, but listen, man. Everybody makes mistakes.
Yeah, no. I mean, listen. I'm no different than anyone else, except being a really highly sensitive person, which is probably not going to help my case here when people read it. Is that when people really go after you and hate you, I'm affected by it. I'm an empath.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, I really feel this stuff. I mean, you can laugh and go like, oh, my sister's a psychic. You can laugh at that too, except she's really right on. It's scary. I'm not practicing this. I'm not pushing it upon anybody. I wish I didn't have it. I wish I didn't know when people were lying to me or when they really meant the hate. And I'm also equally affected by love. I mean, I cry watching fucking, Little House on the Prairie. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm a sensitive guy.
Yeah,
I see a TV commercial about a guy suffering. I'm like, oh my God, I feel terrible for this guy. So my infamous sense of humor and bravado, which is a lot of times was booze bravado, which I'm sorry about that if anybody was on the receiving end of that. But I used to think I was terribly funny, and I really wasn't funny all the time. I think anybody would be. Like I don't go to the NAMM show anymore. I mean, there's too many legendary NAMM show moments over the years. Yeah. Back in the old days, from the 70s forward, I've retired from. It's not the same thing it used to be anymore, anyway. But the public display of drunkenness and whatever is just so out of vogue. It's like people smoking cigarettes now. Everybody used to smoke cigarettes.
Yeah, right.
Now, if you smoke cigarettes, you're a pariah. It's much the same way.
Yeah, man. But for whatever, I'm a nobody, I'm just looking at this.
No, you're very much a somebody, man. Everybody's a somebody, man.
No, but I mean, like, for my opinion I'm not like all these guys. I don't feel my opinion is very,
It's just as valid as anybody else's, brother.
No, but I think that everybody just fucks up, man. Everybody makes mistakes,
Everybody fucks up, but not everybody fucks up in public. For everybody, forever. And you get a guy going, hey, take that down. He goes, no, man, fuck you. You're an overrated hack, and I want everybody to know it. It's like, okay, pal, well,
it's more his problem.
If that's going to make you feel better at night, okay, I can't fight that.
Yeah.
I just got to pretend like it doesn't exist because I'm not the only one that has bad nights on stage. You want to take off,
Let me ask
I love the guy that 1 minute and 48 seconds. Watch this. It's like, so consequently, your brain would, before I stopped looking, and believe me, I have stopped looking.
Good.
But back, I go 1 minute and 48 seconds. What the fuck did I do there? Boom, boom. And it's obviously a missed note or a dodgy bend or something's out of tune or whatever. I played a wrong note. Big fucking deal. Everybody does. But I go, for somebody to take the time to do that, you go, what kind of and twisted fucking, then you hit like, who is this guy? And it's set up a page just to tell me that.
Yeah.
That's a fucking twisted cat.
No, I agree. You're preaching to the choir here, man.
I'm sure when you put your shit out there, people go, who the fuck is this guy Craig? Fuck him, even whatever. It's
absolutely.
Like, dude, who's shitting your Wheaties today? You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I hear you. Let me ask this. This is a tough question. What do you like most about yourself? How do you get Steve Lukather to stop talking, man? Ask him this question.
Like most about myself, I'm not that guy. I mean, I'm dealing with like seeing therapists for my own self-loathing.
That's okay, but you gotta. What do you like most, though? There's an answer.
I'm a funny kid, man. I mean, I'm a forgiving person if somebody's actually legitimately remorseful if somebody fucks me. But unfortunately, the people that aren't remorseful, so that's kind of mood. Geez, I don't know. I'm a good dad, man. I mean, I take a great deal of pride in dealing with my children, and they know all four of them know exactly how much I love them. There's never any doubt about that. I mean,
you're super considerate. It seems. I'm like, that's the vibe.
I try, man. I mean, I'm considerate. Here's the thing about me: if somebody's gonna say "fuck Lukather," he's an asshole. They drew first blood. I guarantee it, because I don't go after people. They have to go after me first. And in the sense of if it's some lame fucking music critic or whatever, well, those guys don't really count because they're just weak.
Yeah.
Weak little jealous people that are writing about what they can't do. But in terms of somebody says that guy's an asshole, then they're going to have a reason to say that, which means an altercation went down, because I'm always making time. Anybody that comes up and wants to say hi, I'm go out of my way to go, thank you very much. I appreciate you saying hi. Thanks for the support, because they do pay my rent and take care of my children.
Yeah.
So now if you're not feeling it or for some particular reason, you have to be honest and go, look, this is a really bad time, man. I'm going through a real bad time right now. Any other time, please understand this is a family issue or whatever. If they don't get that, and then they go, I met him, he's a fucking asshole. Or if you breeze by somebody real quickly because there's a whole bunch of people around, or somebody else that works for me that I'm not aware of does something, that doesn't make me an asshole. It just means I become the asshole by proxy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In other words, that bothers me because I try to be a nice guy to everybody, but the whole showbiz thing, as anybody in it on every level, is wanting people to like you. This innate weird need for people to like you. Applause, whatever that means. Why most people do a job, they don't get applause at the end of their job, and they work 10 times harder than me. I don't think God wants this football team to win and not this football team to win. God wants me to have a Grammy and not you.
Right.
I mean, I find that repulsive. I find it humorous, but it's a narcissistic way to look. It's like selfies. What the fuck is that? What is that? What do you do with that? So you put it on your Facebook page, a picture of your lunch, or a picture of you and your friend that you photoshopped. Unbelievable. I mean, what is this society we live in? I mean, it's like, okay, here's my conspiracy theory. World Wide Web, Roman numeral, V1, 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 666, the mark of the beast. The thing that's going to take down the entire planet. It's not going to be some guy in a red suit going, you touched your pee-pee last night. It's going to be this fucking box, man. This box is going to finally blow up, and we're one sunspot, and we're all done. People are expecting a fucking nuclear disaster. Nah, man, one sunspot and we're all fucking broke. Out in the woods. My daughter is in a scout. She just learned how to light a fire without anything. I go, you're going to be very valuable soon. I kind of jump all over the place, man. You never.
Yeah, I didn't. I'm trying to catch up with.
You should have been my co-writer in my book.
Biggest.
I rewrote the whole fucking thing, but he had to put it together.
You know what? I thought you did a really good job on that. It was well written. It was very conversational. You wrote like you.
Well, I had to. The first draft, I sound like a proper Englishman because Paul's from England.
You can't write.
And I said, Paul, man, thank you. You put it all together right, but it doesn't sound like me.
Yeah,
It's got to be raw. It's got to be the way I talk, like it or not.
No, you did a good job.
I want people. I didn't want people to go like all he did was do an interview with some guy and slap his name on it. I wanted to have a little bit more heart.
No, it's a very soulful book, man.
I left and I could have been more. deeper and darker, but I didn't want to do that to anybody.
But you only have so much time, also, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to make an 800-page book. I mean, you know.
Well, it was at one point almost, and they had to yank 400 out, and so people hit the floor, and I didn't get to mention this, or there's blocks of time like, well, why didn't you talk about this, or why didn't you talk? Dude, look at my discography was fucking 25 pages.
I didn't know how you even came. How did you keep? Who kept those records?
I didn't. Somebody else did.
Yeah, that was pretty impressive.
It's more than that, really. But at the same time, I stopped doing sessions probably mid '90s. I mean, in the sense of just showing up when I got a call or not knowing who I was going to show up with. I mean, I'll show up and do a solo for somebody, or I'll play on something for a friend. But in general, I do so many other things that I don't have. Plus, up the session thing is dead. It's not there.
When you talk
the guys
about
that do it work from their house, and I don't want to take their work away from them. I had my time.
When you talked about that in the book, though, it was a very clean and organic. It seemed like a very clean and organic break for you. There was no. It was like you're ready to move on to this other thing.
No, I didn't make any grandiose announcements. This is the stupidest thing you can do.
Yeah. No,
what I did, what I was told, and how it works, and this is relevant to your audience. Well, it used to be relevant. I don't think it's relevant anymore. Was that, when I got in, I had guys like Larry Carlton, Ritenour, and Jay Graydon. Jay being primarily my mentor at the time, because he was making the move from being top call guy to a record producer, arranger, songwriter, which was where it went. Like, you put as a record guy. Now, as a TV film guy, you stay in for life.
Right.
That's what you do. But the guys that were creating every day and making the hooks for records, they wanted new guys every certain period. So you get about 10, 15 years tops. Tops 15 years. And you got to get out. You got to have somewhere else to go. Either your own band, you become a solo artist, songwriter, producer, arranger, something else besides being the top call studio guy. Because it's the old joke, get me who is this guy? Get me that guy, and get me a guy that sounds like that guy, who's younger. You know what I mean?
And then who is that? You know who told me that?
Then whatever happened to that guy, and then who the fuck is that guy?
Do you know Les Davidson, a British session player? He told me that. Yeah, he's a guy about like our age. He told me that a while back.
Well, it's the truth. I mean, there's only so far you can go with it, and I went as far as you can go with it. And, and then it's kind of funny. And then the era just kind of died. Like, guitar solos died. I used to play on guitar solos. I used to have a lot of guitar solos on the radio at the same time.
Yeah.
And that was kind of cool back then. I mean, that was supposed to be a sign of, you're the guy, right? You're the number one guy. Because you played on all these diverse records and you have solos in them. And people would know it was me or whatever. And nowadays, they want everything very generic and nothing sticks out. You don't go like, oh, man, who played drums on that, Or who played bass? That's a killer part. Or where's the guitar solo? If you get one at all, it's so like it sounds written out or put together. It's not like a stream of consciousness like the old days where it has some excitement to it. Or you don't hear fades where the drummer starts going for fills and stuff. It's just this.
Yeah.
It's a flat line. Even the cymbals don't. There's no dynamics. And now they could say, "Oh, that's mastering. Everybody's pressing the compression." No, I just think that's the way records are made.
There is a lot of good independent music being made, but I don't.
Yeah, there is. I mean, but those are guys. I'm talking about mainstream people that actually change the way people think. Because the niche artists, the guys that have their audience that are doing the organic stuff and really killing it, they don't sell millions of records. They don't sell out arenas.
No.
Which is fine for them. They found their business model and their fan base, and that's what you have to do now. Because it's never going to be what it used to be. So you really we're doing it in our way. I mean, we found the audience that likes us and buys our shit, so we cater to them. We don't care what some guy, hater journalist.
No, you're not in a convincing business.
It's the same things. I hate fucking mayonnaise, all right? I don't care how you doll it up. How you try to hide it from me, I'll taste it as mayonnaise, and I fucking hate it. Also, other people fucking dip their ball sacks in mayonnaise.
I hate mayonnaise.
And fucking, along with their french fries, and they get a little marination.
Oh, dude, stop, man.
And it's fucking disgusting to me. Other people love it. One man's shit's another man's chocolate. That's the way it is. So that's, we find our group. I don't care if you hate my band, you're never all of a sudden going to wake up and like my band.
Yeah.
Same reason. I don't expect you to. So, I mean, why they keep sending the same people to write the same shit almost 45 years later is pretty funny to me, but such is life.
What's the toughest decision you've had to make, or the most difficult thing you've had to do?
Leave my last marriage while my ex was pregnant. That sucked. That's the most honest answer I've ever given.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
That sucked because that's not what I wanted to do, and that's not how I wanted things to end up. But sometimes you have to do things in life that are unpleasant, that don't look good to others. People go, "How could you do that? What kind of a scumbag are you?" I go, "Well, it's not the way it's written.
Didn't come
when
out
you read
it.
When you read it, it looks bad.
It didn't come out.
But there's a lot of reasons why things happen. That's all I'm going to say on it. But the happy ending to it is we're friendly. It's fine. The kids are great, and everybody won. So for my little kids, they don't think it's weird because they don't know any other life. So.
Right. It didn't come out like terrible at all, to be honest.
Well, it's just you asked me what the worst thing was. I mean,
thank you.
I would like to preface that by saying, besides losing my best friends and family, that's the worst thing. Losing them, screwing up 2 marriages, but the last one, that one was walking away with somebody with my son inside was tough. But he's okay. He's, everybody's all right.
What's the funniest thing that's ever happened to you on stage or studio?
I can't tell you, man. That's just the honest answer.
Yeah. It's awesome.
There's been so many. Most of the time is spent laughing. You stick a bunch of guys in a close group, in a room or in buses or in planes or whatever, backstage in a dressing room, in a hospitality room. All you got to do is look at life twisted. Talk about the news and what happened in your personal life, and everybody adds to it, and somebody makes a crack about it. It's the funniest shit you've ever heard in your life. And I can tell you this, it's the only place where you can laugh all day long. That's part of the job. I mean, and even when we were making records, the most insane things would happen in records. And some of it would be like, you had to be there. If I tell you the story, you go like, well, that's not really funny. I go, well, yeah, but if you were there,
it would have been funny.
And saw how it happened and the looks on people's faces and how we got to that point, then it'd be hysterical. But I have a great job in that I'm allowed to laugh on my job. Most people aren't allowed to laugh while they're working.
I mean, I'm going to ask you three more questions. 2 of them are guitar/music. First one is, who are the favorite players you've enjoyed playing with? I mean, there's been so many cats.
Oh, that would be an impossible answer. I would have to say that I've had a chance to work with just about all of my heroes, and that's a pretty scary thing to say. But who do I love playing with? I mean, there's just too many, man. I mean, the first guy that really I connected with on guitar was Michael Landau, because we were both kids, and we've been close brothers ever since. He's still one of my closest friends, and that I hardly ever get to see. But he was the first other guitar player where we just, we had a thing together, and we played together all through school, and and as we got older, went off the different directions, but there's still so much love, and we played together many times. But when we were kids, we were inseparable, and it was a whole other thing. He was always such a brilliant guitar player, brilliant musician. Still is. Still one of my all-time favorites, even though he's one of my oldest friends. But then getting a chance to work with all my heroes, with somebody that I really admire says something nice, I'm deeply touched by that, and having a chance to work with all of them at some point or another that are too vast to mention. I'll leave somebody out, and I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I can mention Mike because everybody knows Mike and I have known each other since we were 12. So he was the first there was a few other guitar players in that era too, Mark Thornberry, and guys that maybe didn't necessarily make it a career, but inspired me, and it inspired all of us. They're just great players. Danny Costello, school, he was great. I mean, there were always guys around, but some of us just had this one. There was no way it wasn't going to happen. We had this attitude like we never even discussed what would happen if we didn't make it.
This was
There was just like it was like we already had. It was weird, you know. And sometimes that my grandmother used to have this whole thing. You have to imagine having something, already having it, if you really want to attain something you don't have right now.
That's a visualization technique they teach.
Well, it's a visualization, and it's a very ancient religious way to go about it. Or when I say really a spiritual way of attaining goals, it's very Eastern, Eastern philosophy. You have to believe you already have something in order to get it. Yeah. You have to change your way of thinking to get others to change theirs, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, totally. I do know what you mean. Second question. Best guitar and best amp you've ever owned or played?
Impossible. Well, I've had so many of them, and I've got the vintage stuff. I got the 59 Burrs, 51 Esquire, old 335s, weird Vox guitars. I mean, I got rid of a lot of stuff, which I sort of have seller's remorse, but I certainly got the top dollar for it. People came at me and started bidding on things. I go, how much are you going to pay me for that? When was the last time I used that again? And then I sell it, and I go, oh, fuck, I wish I hadn't sold that. But, my Music Man guitars, I adore, Dudley Gimple and all the Ball family and everybody who's worked over there for the last 25 years. It's just made me the finest instruments ever. That rival the best of all the rest of them. Like I said, I still have old, Les Pauls and stuff like that, which are great to have. And, I've got a couple of the original Valley Arts guitars that I had, the Robot one, which is really the only real one. They sold the company and started knocking them off. I have nothing to do with that. And I also have number 3, the Red Burst that they gave me a long time ago. I kept those. They may see the light. Maybe I'll do a tour where I bring out all the guitars. I don't know. But really, I'm playing Music Man all the time now. And not because I have to. I mean, I could do whatever I want to do. But, it's all right there for me,
What are you playing out?
The greatest combination of the best Strat and best Les Paul you ever had stuck into one guitar. For me. It's there for me.
What are you playing out of?
I'm playing out of a Bogner Helios, which I love. He keeps making better and better stuff every time. For me, that's what I like. Yeah. It gets a great clean sound. It gets a great dirty sound. It's a workhorse. Looks cool. And Reinhold he's been there for me. Me and my family. My son uses it too. Trev uses the amps too. They sound great. I just love it. And listen, I have all the amps. I mean, we all do.
Yeah.
They're all great in their own way. But as far as my workhorse day to day, what I've used nonstop for the last 10 years has been the Bogner.
And last question, and I really appreciate your time, man, and your openness and being so thoughtful. So thank you very much.
Oh, please. Anytime, man.
You're funny, man. You react like I do when someone gives me compliments. It's like...
Hey, man, I've been doing this for, 43, going on 44 years now for real as a real recording, touring guy. It's changed a lot, but, I'm still here. I think that's the most amazing part is that I'm still here. And not because I tried to kill myself, but just that I'm still making a living doing this, that I still get hired a year in advance to do all kinds with some of my greatest heroes. I got some really fun stuff coming up for next year that's different. I'm getting away from Toto World for a while. I don't know how long that's, we've just been working really hard. We need a break. But that ends in October. And then I got next year some really fun stuff. I get to work with one of my all-time heroes, Billy Gibbons, on some stuff.
That's awesome, man.
We have an interesting little thing going on. They're very not likely, obviously. But a lot of fun. Some few things. I'm hopefully going to work with Ringo a little bit more. I'm hoping that. I adore working with Ringo. He's the coolest thing that ever happened to me. Not only it's because of who he is, but he's become a really dear friend and a wise soul. Somebody I look up to as like a big brother,
That's great, man. I'm
really we just connected on a level that's outside of the music thing, and that's meant a lot to me. Making some new friends later in life is kind of cool. And maintaining the old friendships that mean a lot to me.
Last question.
They still pay me to play the guitar, man. How bad can my life be?
Oh, I think you're doing great.
I could be sucking shit out of porta potties right now.
Biggest change in your personality in the last 10 years, and how much of that was been intentional?
I stopped drinking and doing drugs and smoking, and I went to a shrink. Yeah, I mean, I've tried to refocus my career. You know, I fell off the rails. I mean, I had some damage control.
But what was the biggest change in your personality? How's that?
Well, I'm very clear. I'm up early. I'm really present for my children, present for my work. I'm managing the band Toto now, and that's taken a lot more time and effort and work and dedication and focus because it's so much detail and money involved. And I'm the guys that have grown up with me, trusting me to do a good job, and that's a big burden to carry. You know, taking care of my family and all that. You know, that's about. What else is there in life? Yeah. You know, I actually still practice. I got a new book from Bumblefoot, fucking Ron, one of the finest musicians on planet fucking Earth, and one of the most humble. But he sent me this like Beyond Slaminsky, melodic patterns for guitar. I just got that yesterday.
So you're working on that?
Well, I just got it. I'm having it. Actually put into paper form so I can take it with me on the road.
That's awesome, man.
Listen, man, I mean, I'm not, it's way too late for me to be some great guitar player. I mean, there's so many guys that are
pretty good guitar player.
Hey, I carved out a little place for myself. I'm very honored. Thank you for those that have supported me. But by no means do I think I'm all that much of a big deal. Like, you know, I got friends like Ron and Steve and Joe and Eddie and all the cats that, you know, started the whole thing. Mike. You know, I'm constantly humble. There's some great, incredible new young guitar players or guys that I've just gotten into. Jeff Coleman, Alan Hines, Greg Koch. These guys are so fucking good. It's absolutely staggering. And then, of course, all the old favorites that we all know and love that you know and love and have already interviewed.
Yeah.
You know, the old school guys like me from my era. But these guys that are coming up are there's a whole handful, man. They're just mind-blowingly good, you know, guys that I've just they may not be kids, but they're I've just gotten hit to them.
Sure,
you know what I mean, or just become friends with them. You know, Jamie Kime, you know, James.
Yeah, I had Jamie on the show. I've had all those guys on the show. Greg Cox, amazing.
There's all these guys. Doug Rappaport. Wow.
Yeah, great player.
Yeah. You know, I mean, you know, like the guys coming up from behind me. So when I go see these cats play, I'm like, you know, okay, my penis just keeps getting smaller and smaller. I'm going to need a magnifying glass to get out of town. So, I mean, the good news is I'm an old guy. I'm not in the competition anymore. I don't have to be. So I can relax as a musician and just be, hey, I am what I am, you know. Okay, yeah, everybody's better than me, you know. Well, I'm okay with that. I'm really okay.
I wouldn't say that, but
well, you know, I got my little thing, you know, but I seem so remedial compared to everybody else by today's standards, you know. But you know what? I got my little thing, so I'd rather have a little thing than nothing at all and be the fastest gun in the West, because I mean that's almost an impossibility at this point.
Man, who's running a competition, right?
Well, I mean, I think it depends on what. It depends. I like to have girls in the audience too. That's a nice thing. I tease Petrucci about this all the time. I go, you know, you got me by a fucking 100 miles, bro. But I bet I got more girls at my gig than you. And he starts laughing. He goes, "There's no question about that."
It's probably very true. Yeah.
He goes, "Yeah, out of 10,000 people, I can count the 3." You know.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying. I mean, that's not true because there's so many fine young female guitar players now. They're really coming on strong. So
very much.
I got to give some love to the girls out there. I mean, Jennifer Batten is still always going to be a gold standard for me because she's
I agree.
One of the finest guitar players. Not for a girl, please.
No, period.
I'm not talking for a girl. I'm talking about one of the finest guitar players I've ever heard.
I agree.
She never stops growing. And there's obviously Orianti and Nina Strauss and all these other bad. I mean, my first cool girl guitar player I ever know, and I even went out with her once, was Lita Ford. She's a really cool person, and she was one of the first trailblazers for girl guitar players. So can't not give Lita some love. She's a very, very, very cool person as well. She's, and there just keeps more and more and more. You know what I mean? It's like, wow. It's not like you're good for a girl anymore. It's like, no, you're badass, period.
Hey, I want to tell people about where to get your book, or not where to get it. I want to just tell everybody that
Amazon.com, man.
I read The Gospel According to Luke. It's an amazing book. It reads really, really easy. It's a lot of fun. Like I said in the beginning, I was exhausted by the end of it because I felt like I'd lived through all this with you, and I couldn't do that.
I said, the broad stroke, you should have been there. There's some stuff that hit the floor that would have been like, it would have grown your hair back.
Yeah, that takes a lot. 40 Trips Around the Sun, the CD version. Talk about that.
Yeah, we're going to be on the road, too. Come out and see us because we ain't going to be playing around for a while. I can tell you that right now.
That's right. So next October ends.
September, October, USA.
That's awesome.
And summertime in Europe.
Awesome. And, man, any final words of wisdom?
No, just say he laughed.
He laughed. All right, dude. Listen, you're a really sweet guy, and I really appreciate all your time. And thank you.
No. I do have words of wisdom.
Yeah.
Save your money, stay healthy, and don't take hard drugs.
Very good, man. This is a very, very poignant way to close this out, Luke. Man, thank you for.
Oh wait, and also the most important: be nice to people.
Be nice, man. You know what?
Be nice to people, because if you're nice, the odds are they'll be nice back. If they're not, then they weren't ever going to be nice. So fuck it.
Well, I want you to listen to this because I'm going to close this out. First of all,
nobody usually gets their ass kicked if you smile and say, "Hey."
Yeah, right.
Although it does happen, if you're in New York City and they're on part of town.
Thank you for making this a cool 500 show. And listen to this.
500th episode. Oh my god. Now the 505th episode by the time you have to edit this down, bro.
No, but listen to this closing because I think you'll like this. So everybody listen, thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this, share it on your social media channels. We appreciate your support. Thanks very much to Luke for spending time with us. Everybody get your hands on The Gospel According to Luke. It's a fantastic book. And make sure you come see Toto on the road. 40 Trips Around the Sun. They won't be touring after September, October. So make sure you check them out. Make sure you get to everyonelovesguitar.com. Sign up to get on our newsletter list so you and I can connect. And most important, you like this, Luke. Remember that happiness is a choice, so choose wisely. Be nice.
Oh, yeah, man.
Right?
There it is.
There it is. Be nice.
I'm with you.
Go play your guitar and have fun. Till next time.
I will. As a matter of fact, I need to practice. So let me get out of here. Thank you all.
Everybody. I'm out.
Bless you, and I hope you have a few yucks at my expense, okay? Peace and love.
We hope you enjoyed this show. If you did, subscribe to the Everyone Loves Guitar podcast, and you can do this online at everyonelovesguitar.com or on iTunes. And if you like the show, please leave us a 5-star positive review. The more 5-star reviews we get, the higher our show ranks, and higher rankings mean we get to continue speaking with cool, interesting guests on our show. We'll see you on the next episode, and until then, keep playing your guitar and have fun making music.